Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a really cool concept today. It's like a high vibrational formula kind of a thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it uses honesty, integrity, gratitude, and then throws in humility too. So we're going to see how these all connect, to help us navigate life's challenges and just create a more positive way of being.
I like it already. Those qualities definitely come up a lot in personal growth and even spirituality.
Right. And it's like when they're all in place, something just shifts.
Totally. Like there's an inner shift and then it kind of ripples out into our experience.
Exactly. So let's break it down, starting with honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I used to think honesty was just being blunt, you know,
Mm-hmm.
straightforward.
Yeah, just tell it like it is.
But this formula goes deeper. It's like radical self-honesty. Have you ever, explored that level of honesty?
I think it's something we're always working on, right? It's more than just telling the truth to others. It's about really looking at our own beliefs, our
I know
motivations.
what makes us kick.
Yeah. And sometimes we can hold on to beliefs out of fear without even realizing it.
Oh, for sure. And the source we're looking at really emphasizes this whole idea of confronting those fears, even the ones we don't realize we have.
It's like shining a light on them so they can't control us anymore.
Exactly. So how can we bring more of this radical self-honesty into our lives? What are some practical steps we can take
Well, I think self-awareness is huge. Paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, reactions.
without judging ourselves?
Yeah, just noticing those times when we hold back, when we're not being totally truthful with ourselves or with other people.
It's about creating that space for some real self-reflection.
Yeah.
Asking those tough questions like, why am I reacting this way? Or even, what am I so afraid of?
Sometimes you need help with that, right? Like maybe a therapist or counselor to guide you.
Definitely. And once we uncover those hidden fears and limiting beliefs, we can start to challenge them. Are they really true? Are they helping us or holding us back?
It's like taking back your power.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got honesty, this deep dive into ourselves and our beliefs. But how does that lead to the next piece of the puzzle,
Hmm.
which is integrity?
It's a natural progression, isn't it? When you're clear about who you are, what you value, what you stand for, it's easier to live in alignment with that.
So integrity is about walking the walk.
Right, matching your actions with your beliefs. It's being whole.
I think we've all had those times where we feel out of alignment.
Mhm.
Like we say one thing but do another, or we compromise our values to please someone else.
Oh, yeah. And those moments of misalignment, they create this inner conflict.
It's like you're battling yourself.
Right. But when you live with integrity, when your actions match your words and your values, you feel whole.
Yeah. It's like you're building trust with yourself and with others.
And speaking of trust, that brings us to another biggie in this formula, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Have you noticed how being grateful can actually make you trust people more, connect with them better?
Definitely. It's like it opens your heart.
I've been trying to practice gratitude more. And it's amazing how it changes your perspective. You start focusing on what you have instead of what's missing.
It's like a shift in mindset, right?
Totally. The source actually calls gratitude a shift in perspective, which I love.
I love that too. It's like you see the good even when things are hard.
And I think that's so important because gratitude isn't about ignoring the hard stuff or pretending everything's perfect. It's about finding the good, even in those tough times.
Yeah. It's like finding those little glimmers of light.
Right, those silver linings. But I'm curious, how do we stay grateful when things are really, really rough?
It's tough, but I think that's where mindfulness helps. Paying attention to the present moment. Noticing the simple things we take for
The
granted.
little joys.
Yeah. Like a warm cup of coffee, a sunny day, a good laugh.
It's like taking a moment to really savor those things.
Exactly. It makes me think about that story in the source material about the couple who saw that weird orange orb in the sky.
Oh, yeah. What do you think that represents in the context of all this high vibrational formula? Well, to me, it symbolizes how gratitude opens us up to new experiences, new ways of seeing things. When we shift our focus from what we don't have to what we do have, it's like we make space for the universe to surprise us.
I like that. It's like we're raising our vibration with gratitude, and then we become more tuned in to the magic around us, just like that couple who stumbled onto something so unique. And you know what? Speaking of shifting perspectives, that leads us right into the fourth element of this formula, which is humility.
Humility, now that's a tricky one. Sometimes I think people get it wrong.
Oh, yeah, totally. They think it's about being meek or putting yourself down.
But this source talks about it in a different way, right? Like being grounded even when you're growing as a person.
It's like recognizing we're all part of something bigger. True humility isn't about making yourself small. It's about shining your light without dimming anyone else's.
And the source even warns against being too enamored with our expansion, which I found really interesting because
Mhm.
we want to grow, right?
Right, of course. But
But,
it's about keeping our ego in check. Not letting our growth make us arrogant or separate from others.
right, it's about staying grounded, recognizing that we're all learning and growing all the time.
We all make mistakes. We all have things to learn.
Exactly. And I think that attitude helps us approach relationships with more openness, more curiosity,
Yeah.
because everyone has something to teach us, right?
Absolutely. It's like approaching every interaction as an opportunity to learn and grow.
I love that. So we've covered honesty, integrity, gratitude, and now humility.
And they all connect. Right. It's not just a list of nice
Well, it's a
qualities.
system, a formula.
Hmm.
The source describes it as an energy equation, almost like a vibrational frequency that creates this protective and empowering bubble around us,
It's a cool image.
right? And it makes me think about how they all work together. Like being honest allows us to live with more integrity. Integrity builds trust, and trust deepens our gratitude. And when we're grateful, it's easier to be humble.
Yeah, it's like they all feed into each other.
It's like a positive feedback loop. And I wonder, if we really embrace this high vibrational formula, how much could our lives change? What kind of ripple effects would we see in our relationships, our work, even the world around us?
That's a great question and one we should definitely explore further. But first, how about we take a quick break?
Sounds good. We'll be right back.
It's amazing how humility can actually make our relationships stronger, those connections deeper.
It's true.
Yeah.
When you let go of that need to be right all the time or feel superior, you open up space to actually understand someone.
You really see them. Yeah.
It reminds me of how sometimes the biggest lessons come from the most unexpected people you know. People we wouldn't normally think of as teachers.
Totally. Like everyone has something to offer, some wisdom to share.
But we have to be humble enough to receive it.
Right. And, when you approach life with that humility and an open heart, it's like you attract more of those meaningful connections.
Like the universe is saying, hey, I see you doing the work.
Exactly. And it brings those people and opportunities into your life that really resonate with you.
It's like that orange orb story again. The couple felt a little scared, but they stayed curious, open to whatever might happen.
And it led them to something incredible.
Exactly. And I think that's a great analogy for how humility can guide us on our own personal growth journeys, too.
It's about letting go of our expectations, embracing the mystery of it all.
So we've talked about each element in this formula: honesty, integrity, gratitude, and humility.
But the real magic happens when they all work together.
Right. The source actually describes it as an energy equation.
Wow.
Yeah. Or a vibrational frequency that creates this protective bubble around us.
Okay, that's a really powerful image. What do you think that means for us, practically?
I think it speaks to how these qualities really do amplify each other. Like honesty leads to integrity. Integrity builds trust. Trust deepens gratitude. And when you're grateful, it's easier to be humble.
It's a beautiful cycle.
Right. And it makes me wonder if we could all fully embrace this high vibrational formula. How would our lives change? What kind of ripple effects would we see in our relationships, our work, the world?
It's fascinating to think about. Let's imagine for a second how our relationships could change if we approach them with radical honesty and deep
The
integrity.
communication would be so different. We'd be
Oh.
more willing to express our true feelings and needs, you
Hmm.
know, but we'd also be better listeners.
Yes. We'd be more open to hearing other people's perspectives without getting defensive.
And those honest, heart-to-heart conversations, they could lead to so much more understanding.
Deeper empathy, yeah. More fulfilling connections overall.
Instead of avoiding those tough conversations, we'd actually address the issues head on.
And work together to find solutions that work for everyone involved.
Right. And all of that builds trust, right? It's such a different way of relating than what we often see in the world today.
It's a shift away from superficiality towards something much more authentic.
And I think that authenticity would spread.
Yeah.
It'd create these ripple effects outwards, building a more supportive community around us.
Absolutely. It's like raising the vibration of the entire group.
Exactly. And what about work? How could this formula transform our professional lives?
Imagine workplaces where integrity was the top priority,
Ooh, that's a good one.
where people valued collaboration and respect over competition.
That would be a huge shift. Instead of seeing your colleagues as rivals, you'd see them as teammates.
And you'd actually want to support each other's success.
I think that kind of environment would lead to so much more creativity, and innovation.
Absolutely. People would feel safe to share their ideas, to really contribute their unique talents.
Yeah, that's like everyone would be empowered to do their best work.
And ultimately, everyone benefits from that, right? It's a win-win.
Totally. But let's take it even further. Imagine if our political leaders embodied these qualities: honesty, integrity, gratitude, humility.
Wow, okay. Now we're talking.
Instead of being driven by power or self-interest, they'd lead with compassion.
With a genuine desire to serve the people.
Right. That's definitely a very different picture than what we usually see in politics.
But it's an inspiring vision, right? It shows what's possible when we prioritize these values.
Imagine a world where conflicts were solved through dialogue and peaceful negotiations.
Where countries cooperated instead of fighting.
It might sound utopian, but I truly believe that when we work on ourselves, when we cultivate these qualities within us, we contribute to that kind of world.
It all starts with us, right?
It does. And it reminds me of the butterfly effect.
Oh, I love that analogy.
How one small action can have these huge ripple effects.
Yeah, like one flap of a butterfly's wings can cause a hurricane on the other side of the world.
Exactly. And in the same way, our choices, our actions, no matter how small they seem, can help create a more positive and harmonious world.
It's powerful stuff, but we have to be realistic.
Totally.
Okay.
It's not always going to be easy to live by this formula.
There will be times when we mess up, when our ego takes over.
When life throws us a curveball and it's hard to stay positive.
Exactly. But the key is to be kind to ourselves.
Right. To remember that it's a journey, not a destination.
We're always learning, always growing. There will be ups and downs.
So we need to celebrate the wins and learn from the setbacks.
And keep moving forward.
Exactly. It's like learning any new skill.
Yeah, you're going to make mistakes along the way.
But if you keep practicing, you'll get better.
You'll master it eventually.
It's the same with these qualities. It takes time and effort, but it's so worth it.
And remember, as you practice, you might notice these subtle shifts in your energy.
How you experience the world.
Yeah, think back to that orange orb story again.
Okay.
That couple was open to exploring a new path, and that openness led them to something incredible.
Right. It's like we're tuning in to a higher frequency.
Exactly. And you might start to see the world in a new way.
Notice things you didn't see before.
And those new perspectives could lead you to amazing connections, experiences, insights you never thought possible.
It's like the universe is always trying to support us, you know? But we have to be open to receiving that support.
And I think aligning ourselves with these principles of honesty, integrity, gratitude, and humility is a great way to do just that.
It's like we're creating this magnetic field that attracts the right people, the right opportunities, the things that are truly meant for us.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, shoot.
What if we all committed to embodying these qualities in our own unique ways, of course?
I like that.
How do you think that would transform our relationships, our communities, our world?
That's a question worth pondering, for sure.
Yeah.
It invites us to step into our power, to become the best versions of ourselves.
And maybe that's the real magic here. The journey of becoming more aligned with who we really are.
It's not about seeing an orange orb in the sky.
Right. It's about creating a more vibrant and fulfilling life for ourselves and for everyone around us.
Beautifully said. And remember, even the smallest steps towards honesty, integrity, gratitude, and humility can make a big difference.
So be kind to yourself, embrace the journey,
and trust that the universe has your back.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep shining your light. So we've been talking about this high vibrational formula, how it can really make a difference in our lives. But how do we actually put it into practice?
It sounds great in theory, but, changing our habits, our mindsets, that's tough stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a quick fix, that's for sure.
So where do we even start?
Well, I think the key is to start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one area you want to focus on.
Okay, so maybe I want to work on being more honest in my communication.
Exactly. Or you could focus on practicing gratitude more intentionally.
Or being more humble in my interactions.
It's like a mini experiment,
Yeah.
See what happens when you really focus on one of these qualities? And if you start to see positive changes in that area, it might inspire you to keep going.
Right, exactly. And remember, personal growth, it's a journey, not a race. There will be bumps in the road. You might slip up, fall back into old patterns.
Life's going to throw you some curveballs.
For sure. The important thing is to be patient with yourself. Learn from those slip-ups and just keep moving forward.
It's like learning any new skill, You're going to make mistakes at first,
Right. You have to practice.
but with practice, you get better.
You master it eventually.
It's the same with these qualities. It takes time, it takes effort, but the payoff is huge.
It really is. And as you practice these principles, you might start to notice subtle changes.
Like what kinds of changes?
Well, like in your energy, how you experience the world. Think about that orange orb story again.
Okay, yeah.
They were open to exploring a new path, and it led them to something incredible.
It's like they were tuning into a higher frequency or something.
Exactly.
I-
And you might find that as you cultivate these qualities, you start to see the world differently, too.
Like you're more aware.
More sensitive to the little things,
And maybe those new perspectives lead you to new connections, experiences.
to things you wouldn't have discovered otherwise.
It's like the universe is conspiring to help us,
Yeah.
you know? But we have to be open to it.
I really believe that. And I think aligning ourselves with these principles, honesty, integrity, gratitude, humility, I was like, we're sending a signal.
A signal to the universe.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm ready for those good things.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay, what's that?
What if we all, everyone listening, committed to embodying these qualities? In our own way, of course.
That's powerful. It's a challenge, but a good one.
Because imagine how different the world would be if we all led with honesty, integrity, gratitude, and humility.
It's an inspiring thought for sure. It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference.
And maybe that's the real takeaway here. The journey of becoming more aligned with our true selves.
It's not about some magical orb in the sky. It's about creating a more vibrant, fulfilling life.
For ourselves and for everyone around us.
Absolutely. And remember, even the smallest steps in the right direction can make a big difference.
So be kind to yourself, embrace the journey, and trust that the universe has your back.
That's it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep shining your light.
See you next time.